Have you ever felt like a ship lost at sea, adrift in the vast, quiet ocean of the night? That was me, once. Just another wandering soul in a city that had long since pulled its blankets up to its chin and fallen asleep. The streets were empty, save for the hum of the occasional street lamp and the rustle of newspapers dancing in the wind. I was walking without a destination, my thoughts a tangled mess when I saw it. Tucked between a closed-down bakery and a modern glass-fronted office was a place that seemed to defy time itself. It was a library. But not just any library. A warm, golden light spilled from its mullioned windows, painting the pavement in a soft, inviting glow. A hand-carved wooden sign swung gently above the door, reading, "The Midnight Library." Curiosity, a feeling I hadn't felt in a long while, tugged at my sleeve. The door was slightly ajar, as if it had been waiting for someone just like me. I pushed it open, and the scent of old paper, leather, and something sweet, like honey and cinnamon, wrapped around me like a warm hug. The inside was a labyrinth of towering shelves that seemed to stretch up into the darkness, disappearing into a ceiling I couldn't quite see. Books of every shape and size were crammed into every available space, their spines a kaleidoscope of colors. The only sound was the gentle ticking of a grandfather clock in a far corner, its pendulum swinging in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. Behind a massive oak desk sat a figure, an old man with spectacles perched on his nose, a kind smile playing on his lips. He looked up as I entered, his eyes twinkling. "Welcome," he said, his voice a low, comforting rumble. "We've been waiting for you." Waiting for me? The words hung in the air, strange and yet somehow right. He introduced himself as Elias, the librarian. He explained that this wasn't an ordinary library. The books here didn't just contain stories, they held lives, real lives, forgotten by the waking world. Each book, he said, gesturing to the endless shelves, is the complete story of a person, their joys, their sorrows, their greatest loves, their deepest secrets, all bound and preserved. He led me down a narrow aisle, his fingers trailing along the spines of the books. "Go on," he encouraged. "Choose one, whichever one calls to you." My hand hovered, uncertain, before it landed on a small, leather-bound volume with no title. It was warm to the touch, almost humming with a faint energy. I opened it, and the script inside was a delicate, flowing cursive. But as I began to read, something magical happened. The words lifted from the page, swirling around me like fireflies. Suddenly, I wasn't in the library anymore. I was standing in a sun-drenched field of lavender in 1920s Provence. I was Isabelle, a young painter with a heart full of dreams and a love for a man who wrote her poetry under the stars. I could feel the summer sun on my skin, smell the fragrant air, and feel the thrill of her first kiss, as if it were my own. I lived her triumphs, her heartbreaks, the quiet moments of joy, and the profound depths of her sadness. I saw the world through her eyes, felt the passion in her art, and cried when she said her final goodbye. When the story ended, I was back in the library, the book resting in my lap, tears streaming down my face. Elias was there with a cup of hot tea. "Every life is a masterpiece, isn't it?" he said softly. I spent the rest of the night, and many nights after, exploring the library's collection. I became a pilot soaring over uncharted mountains in the 1940s, a jazz musician in a smoky New Orleans club, a scientist who made a world-changing discovery but never received the credit. I fell in love 100 times over, lived 1,000 different lives, and saw the tapestry of humanity in all its beautiful, messy, and glorious detail. One night, I stumbled upon a book that felt different. It was bound in simple blue cloth, and when I touched it, a jolt of recognition ran through me. It was the story of a young woman I'd known long ago, a friend whose laughter had been like music, but whose story had ended far too soon. I had always been haunted by the what-ifs. Opening her book, I lived the life she never got to finish. I saw the love she would have found, the children she would have raised, the quiet, happy life she deserved. It didn't erase the pain of her loss, but it filled the empty spaces with a sense of peace, a beautiful, poignant epilogue. The Midnight Library became my sanctuary. It taught me that no life is ever truly forgotten as long as its story is told. It taught me that our own stories are still being written, every single day. One evening, as dawn approached, Elias pointed to a single empty shelf. "There's a story waiting to be written there," he said, his gaze meeting mine. "Yours." I understood then. The library wasn't just a place to escape my life. It was a place to understand it, to find the courage to go back out and live it. I left the library that morning as the sun began to warm the city streets. The world looked different, brighter. The faces of strangers held a new mystery, a new depth. I knew now that every person I passed was a living library, a collection of stories waiting to be read. I never found the Midnight Library again. Perhaps it was never really there, or perhaps it moves on, finding other lost souls who need to remember the magic of being alive. But its stories live on inside me. And now I try to live my own story, filling its pages with as much love, adventure, and kindness as I can, creating a tale worth being whispered in the quiet aisles of a library that never sleeps. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more tales from the quiet corners of the world. Until next time, keep your eyes open for the magic hiding just out of sight.